They said the Beast had no equal. They said the food chain of WWE had a permanent apex predator, a man who had conquered streaks, broken heroes, and ended careers with a laugh. But tonight, on Monday Night Raw, the laws of nature were rewritten. Tonight, we didn't just see a challenge, we saw a coronation by force. If you are watching this, take a deep breath, because the landscape of professional wrestling has just shifted beneath our feet. The Beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar, is down. And standing over him is a man who didn't ask for permission, he took it. This is the moment we will talk about for the next 20 years. Welcome back to SLAMZONE. You can feel the energy in the air tonight, a mixture of disbelief and absolute electricity. We have to go back to the start of the night to truly understand the gravity of what just happened. The show opened with a feeling of celebration. It is January 21, 2026, and we are officially on the road to WrestleMania 42. The atmosphere in the arena was deafening as the opening chords of Brock Lesnar's theme hit. The crowd, a sea of thousands, rose to their feet out of instinctual respect and fear. When Lesnar walks to the ring, the ground shakes. You can see it in the eyes of the fans in the front row. They flinch when the pyro goes off. Lesnar stood in the center of the ring, looking perhaps the most confident we have ever seen him. He didn't have Paul Heyman with him tonight, which made the moment feel raw and unfiltered. He grabbed the microphone, and for 10 minutes, he held the entire world in the palm of his massive hand. He spoke about his legacy. He listed the names of the men he has victimized over the last 2 decades. He talked about ending the Undertaker's streak, about destroying John Cena, about dismantling the bloodline. He looked into the camera and said, with a terrifying calmness, that there was no meat left on the bone. He said WrestleMania 42 was supposed to be his retirement party, but there was nobody in the locker room man enough to help him blow out the candles. The arrogance was palpable. But the terrifying thing was, he was right. Or so we thought. And then, the sound changed. It wasn't the glass shatter of Stone Cold, and it wasn't the static of CM Punk. It was the deep, rhythmic, primal beating of Nigerian drums. The Titantron turned a deep, blood red. Confusion washed over the faces in the crowd. They looked at each other, whispering, asking who this was. But the hardcore fans, the ones who have been paying attention to the Underground Rumble in Orlando, they knew. They started to scream. Out walked Obafemi. If you don't know who this man is, look at him now. The NXT North American Champion. A physical specimen carved out of granite, standing 6'4", 270 pounds of pure athletic violence. But it wasn't just his size that froze the arena, it was his eyes. Usually, when a young star interrupts Brock Lesnar, you see a flicker of hesitation. You see them swallow hard. You see the fear. Obafemi walked down that ramp like he owned the building. He didn't run. He didn't pose for the fans. He locked eyes with the Beast and marched straight into the lion's den. The visual of these two men standing face to face is something legends are made of. It looked like two mountains colliding. Lesnar, the veteran, the conqueror, usually towers over his opponents. But tonight, he had to look Obafemi square in the eye. Lesnar actually cracked a smile, a laugh of disbelief. He stepped back, leaned into the ropes, and gestured for Femi to speak, almost mocking the audacity of this rookie. Femi didn't hesitate. He raised the microphone and his voice didn't shake. He didn't scream, he spoke with the quiet intensity of a ruler. He told Brock that the era of the Beast was over, not because Brock was weak, but because something stronger had finally arrived. He said, "You have spent 20 years eating the weak, but tonight, you are the prey." The crowd gasped. You could hear a pin drop in that arena. To call Brock Lesnar prey to his face is a death wish. Brock's smile faded. The veins in his neck popped. The air in the arena grew heavy, suffocating with tension. Lesnar stepped forward, getting right in Femi's face, breathing heavy, daring him to make a move. This is the moment where usually, the young guy gets suplexed into oblivion. This is where the lesson is taught. But Obafemi isn't here to learn lessons. He is here to teach them. In a flash of motion that was too fast for a man of his size, Femi didn't wait for the cheap shot. He threw a right hand that sounded like a cannon blast. Lesnar stumbled back. The crowd erupted. It wasn't a shove, it was a strike that rocked the Beast. Brock, fueled by pure rage, lunged forward, looking for the double-leg takedown, looking to maul this intruder. But Femi sprawled. He stopped the takedown. Let me repeat that for the people in the back. Obafemi stuffed a Brock Lesnar takedown. What followed was a brawl that looked less like a wrestling match and more like a fight for survival in a jungle. Security guards rushed the ring, 5, 10, 15 of them, and they were tossed aside like children. Femi grabbed a security guard and launched him over the top rope as if he weighed nothing. Lesnar was throwing haymakers, huge clubbing blows that would knock out a normal man, but Femi was eating them and firing back with uppercuts that snapped Lesnar's head back. The ring ropes were shaking violently. The referee had long since fled the ring. This was chaos. This was anarchy. And in the center of it all, the unthinkable happened. Lesnar went for the F5. He had Femi up on his shoulders. The crowd was screaming, thinking it was over, thinking order was about to be restored. But FEMI, he slipped out the back. He landed on his feet. He kicked Lesnar in the gut, doubling him over. And then, he hooked him. He lifted Brock Lesnar 286 pounds of dead weight up into the air with ease. Pop-up powerbomb. The impact shook the camera lenses at ringside. But he wasn't done. As Lesnar tried to crawl to the ropes, dazed, confused, looking mortal for the first time in years, FEMI grabbed him by the waistband. He deadlifted him. He hoisted the beast up for his finisher, the fall of the gods. He held him there, suspended in the air for what felt like an eternity, letting the world take a picture, before driving him down into the canvas with sickening force. 1, 2, 3. There was no referee to count it, but the entire arena counted along in spirit. Brock Lesnar lay flat on his back, staring up at the lights, eyes glazed over. Obafemi stood over him, not breathing heavy, not celebrating like he won the lottery, but looking down with cold indifference. He reached down, picked up his NXT North American Championship, and then, he did it. He turned slowly to the hard cam, and he pointed. He pointed straight at the WrestleMania sign hanging in the rafters. The pyrotechnics didn't go off. The show didn't end with a celebration, it ended with a statement. A 26-year-old monster just walked into Monday Night Raw, called his shot, and laid out the most dangerous combat athlete in history. Before we break down exactly what this means for WrestleMania 42, I need you to do something for me. If your heart is racing just like mine, if you felt that impact in your living room, hit that like button right now. It helps us find other wrestling fans who need to see this. And if you want to be part of the SLAMZONE family, where we don't just watch wrestling, we feel it, make sure you subscribe and turn on that notification bell. We are going to be covering this war every single step of the way, and you do not want to miss a second of it. Now, let's talk about the implications. Why does this matter? Why is this different from when Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns stood up to Brock? Because those men had history. They were known quantities. Obafemi is the unknown variable. Brock Lesnar cannot prepare for what he does not know. FEMI represents the future that Brock has been trying to hold back. This isn't just a match for WrestleMania, this is a generational clash. This is the old lion realizing that the young lion isn't just waiting for his turn, he is kicking us out of the pride. Think about the psychology of Brock Lesnar right now. He is sitting in that locker room, icing his neck, realizing that for the first time in a decade, he is the underdog physically. Yes, Lesnar has the experience. Yes, he has the ruthlessness. But looking at the power FEMI displayed tonight, lifting Lesnar like he was a cruiserweight, we have to ask the question, is Brock Lesnar finally obsolete? And what about the challenge? I will end your legacy and begin mine. That is the line that will haunt Brock Lesnar until April. This match at WrestleMania 42 isn't about titles. It's not about money. It is about existence. If Brock loses, the aura of the beast is shattered forever. If FEMI wins, he becomes the instant face of the company, the man who did the impossible on his first try. We also have to talk about the crowd reaction. Did you hear them? At first, they were confused. But by the time FEMI hit that powerbomb, they were roaring. They weren't booing the bad guy, they were cheering the violence. They were cheering the change. That is a dangerous sign for Lesnar. The fans smell blood in the water. They want to see the king fall. They want to see the new era begin. We have weeks to go before WrestleMania. We have to wonder how Brock will respond. Will we see the chaotic, parking lot brawling Brock Lesnar next week? Will he bring a steel chair? Will he hunt FEMI down in NXT? Or, for the first time, will we see fear? I want you to close your eyes and picture WrestleMania 42, the grandest stage of them all. 80,000 people. The night sky lit up. Obafemi on one side, the ruler, the future. Brock Lesnar on the other, the beast, the history. When that bell rings, it won't be a wrestling match. It will be a car crash. It will be a war of attrition. And after what we saw tonight, after seeing the beast laid out flat in the center of the ring, I am not sure I would bet against Obafemi. This is where legends are made. This is where the torch isn't passed, it's taken. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry, I promised I wouldn't say that, but the emotion is taking over. Wrestling fans, you have just witnessed history. The hierarchy of the WWE has changed. The beast has been put on notice. The ruler has arrived. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out, it really supports the channel. Subscribe to SLAMZONE and join the family for more intense wrestling breakdowns every week. Tell me in the comments, is this the end of Brock Lesnar, or did Obafemi just make the biggest mistake of his life? I'll be reading every single comment. Until next time, keep your eyes on the ring, because you never know when history will strike.